Okay, this is Sheets, and we're going to go on talking about a couple of exotic wagers, starting with exactas. And an exacta is extremely simple. You just have to pick the horse to come in first in a race and the horse that comes in second. And there are ways you could box them, and things like that, but all of that is just kind of, it's kind of verbiage. In other words, all an exacta is picking the horse that's going to come in first and the horse that comes in second. As I was saying, you could put 2 horses in every combination, 3 horses in every combination, and things like that. But that's just the basic idea. Now, what's interesting is that the exacta pool is its own pool. In other words, what the horse's win odds are do not dictate what the price of the exacta necessarily pays. Now, you would think that in an efficient market, that the horses that are most likely to win, thus reflected in the win pool as such, are also going to be the combinations that pay the least amount in the exactas as well. But if that's the case, if that does happen, it's only, I don't want to say coincidence, but one has nothing directly to do with the other. The exacta pool is a completely different pool. I mean, it's possible, unlikely, but it's possible that a combination of a 10 to 1 and a 15 to 1 could be the chalkiest exacta on the board, just for whatever reason. Maybe someone just put like a carload of money on that. You'll see that there's usually some degree of correlation between the win pool and the exacta pool, but it's not necessarily going to be the case. And there are a couple of reasons for that, which I'll get to in a little bit, but I wanted to kind of show you how to figure out whether an exacta is a good bet or a bad bet. In other words, if it pays well or it doesn't pay well. And for those of you that are in poker, okay, you might recognize something called ICM, which is a way of calculating what a player's chances of winning a particular tournament are given their particular chip counts and given the payouts and things like that. And one of the basic concepts behind that calculation is this idea that you have a winner who's got a certain percent chance of winning based on his chip count relative to the rest of the field. And then after that, the player who's in second then has the chance to beat the remainder of the players, right? Once you take that first guy out. And it's kind of the same thing, the way you have to figure out what kind of fair value for an exacta is in horse racing. Like, for example, let's take this exact race that we had where the 7 won and the 1 came in second. So let's try to figure out what the fair odds should have been for that exacta. Now, you'll see here I said exacta takeout 21%. That is what the takeout is in the exacta pool. And we're going to get back to that in a minute. You'll see that I put these same numbers you might remember from the win pool up here. This 18% takeout, whatever it is. Because remember, this is the horse that ran first, the 7 horse. You saw that he had 14,735 in the win pool. Remember that? Just if you don't remember that, we'll put this up again. Win pool. Yeah, 14,735. And then you'll also see that this horse that got second had 20,884. So we're trying to figure out what the fair value is. In other words, what are the chances that that 7 horse is going to win and that 1 horse is going to come in second? So what you have to do is first figure out what the chances the 7 has to win, and then figure out what the 1's chances are of coming in second, right? So what you do is first, this was easy. You have 14,735, and what you're going to do is you're just going to divide that by the total win pool. Right? We're not figuring out what the adjusted pool doesn't matter for this calculation. All we're figuring out is what his actual chances are of winning, assuming, of course, that this win pool is efficient. Right? So you divide 14,735 into 9,200, and your actual chances of winning is 15%. Okay, based on those numbers. So then what you do is You then have to figure out what the one's chances are of winning, given the fact the 7 won, right? So what you have to do is he had 20,884 wagered, right? But what you have to do is you have to figure out what his winning chances are against the rest of the field. Okay? So what you're doing, again, is you're taking out the 14,000 that we had, subtracting it from this original 92, and you're left with 77,771 left to be fought for. So of that 7,771, this 2884, which represents the money bet on this 1 horse to win, you divide that into the 770, this number, and you see that his chances of winning against the rest of the field, right, presuming the 7's gone, is now going to be 26%. So then what you just simply do is you multiply 15.9% by 26.8%, and you get this number here. And then you turn it into actual odds, which would be 23.37 to 1. Once again, you multiply that by 2 because, again, everything's based on a $2 bet here. Add back your $2, and you see your rake-free value. In other words, the actual chance, like what you deserve to get paid if there were no rake, would be $48.75. Now, the problem is that there is rake, so what you have to do is you take out the 21%. So we multiply this times 0.79, and you end up with $39.40. So given the fact that you're going to eat a 21% rake, the fair value that you should be getting, assuming the win pools are efficient, would be $39.40. Now, as it turns out, what this actually paid was damn freaking close. This one actually paid. Actually, we were supposed to get 38.5. We actually got 39.4. Okay, so this is really close. You almost never get it exactly this close. But, I think that's pretty interesting. And I think that is an interesting way of going about it. Now, why would an Exacta pay that much more than its actual fair value? Like, for example. So this is, again, a little bit too much into theory here, and one of the flaws, I won't say flaws, but one of the arguments against this calculation is some people believe that exactas are kind of correlated, meaning that depending on the nature of a particular race, it would be such that if in fact, say, the 3 won the race, it would be that much more likely that the 5 would come in second, okay? And that comes down to esoteric things like how the race sets up. In other words, let's just say that there were 2 horses that were going to be racing on the inside. If there were an inside track bias, that it would favor both of them. You know what I mean? Like coming in 1-2. Or let's say that, we'll get into why this is really not the case, but some people believe that if there's a really, really hot, fast pace at the front, like 2 or 3 horses that are going to be rating to kill each other on the front end, that the horses that are racing from behind, they're either going to come sweep past everybody or they won't. In other words, it's unlikely that one closer will get there and not the other. So in that theory, that the closers kind of correlate with one another and the speed horses kind of correlate with one another. So that could be an argument about why just doing the straight win parlay calculation might not be so great. But in another video, we'll talk about how those types of things are kind of overrated. So that's kind of my analysis of Exactas. And just to remind you that what's pure about the Exacta pool is what you are going to get beforehand. Like here would be like kind of like the grid that you would look at on ExpressBet. It could show you, say, let's say you wanted to bet the 7-9. 7 with 9 7 with 1, that's what we're talking about, would pay 39.40. You would know that in advance. Now again, the closer to post time you bet, the more likely you are that you're gonna, that you're making a sound decision. You'll know exactly, or at least close to it, what you're going to be getting.